Hello everyone, Niklsun here, and welcome to Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. I'm your host, and on this show we're going to be breaking down all the day's movie news and kind of giving a little bit of background into what it means for the production in general, such as casting decisions, trailer announcements, director announcements, things like that. So, without any further ado, let's get started with today's hot topics. And the first topic we have to talk about today, actually the first two are kind of linked. A little bit of surprising news came out on Friday. As I've talked about on here before, Marvel Studios with their Phase 2 and Phase 3 and their entire cinematic universe are moving forward with a couple of, how do you say it, more riskier projects. One of those is actually following up Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, and it's called Ant-Man. Now, on Friday, the director of that, Edgar Wright, who most people would maybe not recognize his name, but they would recognize some of his films. He's directed Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. The most recent one he did was The World's End. And he has been connected with this project ever since they announced this alongside Iron Man back at Comic-Con, I believe in 2006. So he's been attached to this ever since then. He's just had other projects that have come up, and they haven't really found a fitting spot for this. Well, as of Friday, it looks as though within the past 8 years, he's been attached to the project. He is no longer attached. He's no longer going to be directing Ant-Man, which is, it really comes as a surprise, especially considering the length of time that this movie has been in development and been in production, or not necessarily been in production, but they've gone all this way with casting announcements. They have a release date. They even bumped up the release date. The release date was originally supposed to be, I can't remember the exact date, but it was sometime in November of 2015. And they bumped it up to take the Batman vs. Superman's original release date of July 17th, 2015. So they bumped it up like 4.5, 5 months. Usually when studios do that, they show a lot of promise and a lot of hope with the project, that they have a really good feeling about it. It's not the first time that we've heard of things like this happening with Thor 2. Patty Jenkins was a director who was brought on to helm that film, and then after a short period of being involved with that, she dropped out. She was replaced with Alan Taylor from Game of Thrones, and then that movie ended up coming out, and it was actually pretty entertaining. But this is not the first time that Marvel has been at the helm of a project that has fallen apart due to creative differences. Now, every studio has these things. Every project usually will have some sort of creative difference with someone involved. But generally, the director, it's rare that a director actually leaves the project just shy of beginning production. They were actually going to start shooting in July. So, I mean, we're a month and a half away from when they were supposed to start filming, and he's left. Now, the report came out, and it said that it was released by both Edgar Wright's people and Marvel, stating it was an amicable separation. They both left without like hating one another and all that kind of stuff. But it's just really weird, because now a rumor has come out, which it makes a lot of sense, not only considering the length of time that they've been involved in the project, but the things that have happened in the past with Marvel. And that Patty Jenkins thing is only one of them. They've had a lot of problems with cast. And retaining cast due to not wanting to pay as much as the actors maybe necessarily would want, or massive differences in what certain actors are being paid in the same film. So this was an article. I'm going to read the entire article. It's been on a couple of different websites, but this is the actual quote, which is given by someone who is familiar with the production. So it goes, about 3 months ago, Marvel had notes. The meat of the notes were about the core morality of the piece, must include franchise characters, etc. These notes came from the big four at Marvel: Joe Cornish and Edgar Wright. Joe Cornish is the co-writer on the production. Joe Cornish and Edgar Wright did 2 drafts to try to answer the notes without compromising their vision. 6 weeks ago, Marvel took the script off of them and gave the writing assignment to 2 very low-credited writers. One of the writers was from Marvel's in-house writing team. Edgar stayed cool and agreed to stay on the project and read the draft. The script came in this week, meaning last week, and was completely undone, poorer, homogenized, and not Edgar's vision. Edgar met with Marvel on Friday to formally exit, and the announcement went out directly after. Edgar and Joe were upset by the sudden, out-of-nowhere lack of faith in them as filmmakers. Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige had always batted for them, but this feels like it came from the higher-ups. It really is unfortunate, considering that The only reason you would get someone like Edgar Wright is because you want an Edgar Wright film. Anyone who has seen his movies knows he has a unique style. He has a unique style of blending comedy, action, and surrealism in his films. And a project like Ant-Man really could benefit from something of that sort. So it's it's really kind of a shame that this has happened. A lot of people were really looking forward to Edgar Wright. It was an untapped property. It was something that not a lot of people knew about. Not a lot of people are familiar with Ant-Man. And getting someone like Edgar Wright to bring his unique visual style to it, very similar to what they've done with James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy, bringing someone with a unique visual style and a unique sensibility about how they go about making a film, to bring them in on a project. You don't bring someone like that in and then try to control them. So it's very, very interesting, the fact that this has happened. The fact that it's taken 8 years for this to come to light. Like, they've been working on this film since 2006. Let that sink in for a minute. That's 8 years ago. And they were supposed to get started production in 2 months, and now it falls apart. Like, it looks as though there's a lot of information that has not been released. Everything happened in the background, which happens all the time. You know, they're trying to save face, making sure that you know, if Marvel ever wanted to work with Edgar Wright again, which isn't likely to happen now, but I mean, if they were to want to work together, they are trying to find an amicable way of doing this, at least publicly. So it is really, really a shame, but Marvel has come out and said that it will not affect the release date, so they are still intending to release it in July 17th of 2015. The cast is still said to be included in the film, which casts Paul Rudd, Evangeline Lilly. They have also Michael Douglas, Michael Pena, and Patrick Wilson in an undisclosed role. So it really is a shame. I was really looking forward to this movie, especially with the test footage that was released at Comic-Con last year that ended up making its way online. It was a very unique film. It was going to be a very special film because a character like Ant-Man is like trying to make a movie about Aquaman, as most people know him. So you got to get someone to come in who's new and fresh, who has a unique way of telling the story, to come in and do this. So they with them not delaying the filming, not delaying the release date, apparently they already have a replacement in mind. Most likely it's someone who, I'm hoping this isn't a Brett Ratner situation, where they get someone to come in and just kind of, you know, try to do their own thing while also trying to adhere to what all the cooks in the kitchen are trying to tell them to do. And I hope that's not the case. This movie is destined to really broaden the appeal of Marvel Studios, for them to be able to create more movies based on their untapped properties. So I'm really hoping that the director that gets announced is someone in the same vein as Edgar Wright. One rumor that's going around right now is actually Joe Cornish is going to be directing it, that he's the actual replacement, which, if that's the case, then I'm a lot happier with this decision, in a sense, because Joe Cornish has been involved since the beginning. He has been co-writing this script with Edgar Wright since the beginning. And he actually directed a film a couple of years ago called Attack the Block, which anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a little alien invasion movie set in London. It's a great little film, really entertaining. I definitely recommend to watch it if you haven't seen it. But yeah, this is just sad news. But they did say that a replacement director would be announced shortly, which most likely means they already have them. And when they do announce it, I will definitely update you guys on the show. And our second topic we have to talk about today is actually in line with this. The next day, on Saturday, after this news came out, Drew Goddard, who is the man who brought us Cabin in the Woods, he was lined up to write, direct, and be the showrunner of the upcoming Daredevil Netflix series, which is going to film 13 episodes. They're also doing a Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, and Luke Cage movie, or television series. And all those 4 characters are going to then team up in a Defenders TV show, which is like the Avengers, but for those characters, all set in New York City. So he was lined up to write and direct it. It's been a passion project for Goddard for years. He loves this character. Well, as of Saturday, he's no longer doing Daredevil. So, I mean, this is a 1-2 punch to Marvel, losing creative talent in their projects, which is very strange to happen at this time. This one, however, other information has come out about this that makes it seem more legitimate, that it's not that he was unhappy with it or anything of that sort, because Drew Goddard has also been tapped by Sony to write and direct the Sinister Six movie, which is a spin-off of sorts of their Spider-Man franchise. So, with Spider-Man 2 coming out to less than favorable reviews that the studio wanted, it's not being as well received as they wanted in any way, shape, or form, and it's not even performing as well as they wanted it to. So, with them maybe refocusing what they want to do, because they already have Spider-Man 3 announced for 2016, and then we have an unannounced film for 2018. Originally it was Spider-Man 4, but they said now they don't know exactly where they want Spider-Man 4 to go. So the 2018 release is most likely going to be either Sinister Six or Venom. Now, originally I was stating that Venom was more likely to be the first one out the gate, just because Drew Goddard was involved in the Marvel Netflix series with Daredevil, and Alex Kurtzman, who is involved in the Venom movie, he didn't really have a major project that he was involved with outside of writing. So it looked like that was the more likely one to be. Now it looks as though maybe Sony is saying, no, we need the Sinister Six movie for 2017. I'm just speculating. We need the Sinister Six movie for 2017 to lead into the 2018 release of Venom, maybe, or something of that sort. We really don't know yet. But it's looking like his responsibilities to that project have actually forced him to leave. Now, they've already announced Stephen S. DeKnight. He was the showrunner on Spartacus, and he has been chosen to replace him as the showrunner on Daredevil, which that's a really good talent change, because you're not really replacing someone with a lesser talent. Stephen DeKnight, anyone who's seen Spartacus knows this guy knows how to run a show. So and especially a project like Daredevil, which is a really dark story, and they are going dark for this, as far as I'm aware. So again, one rumor did come out though, that Marvel execs have meddled in the property and caused him to leave. That they were demanding certain things, because these television shows are going to exist within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so they have to adhere to certain things that are involved in the films, in upcoming films, and things like that. So if a lot of those things were coming out and stating that, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, to someone like Goddard who loves the character of Daredevil, this could have been a make or break decision. And then, with Sony saying we want to get moving on this, it could have made it just easier. Again, not a lot of information has come out about this, but it really is sad to hear that Marvel has lost two very talented filmmakers involved in two of their upcoming high-profile projects. And it's just really unfortunate that this has happened. Now, they've already got a new showrunner for Daredevil, so that's not really going to be, the time frame for that is not really going to be adjusted, because they're supposed to start filming, I believe, in the fall for that, and it's going to be released next summer. So it's really just unfortunate. But we're going to hear about the Ant-Man replacement. We already know about the Daredevil replacement. As long as these shows stay on course, they should be okay, hopefully. And the one thing that's going to make me feel a lot more at ease about the Ant-Man decision is if Edgar Wright, or if Joe Cornish, sorry, is the one who's actually taking over the project. If that happens, then it's in a better hands than it could have been if someone else had come in to replace Edgar Wright, because he's at least been involved in the production this entire time. But yeah, it's really just unfortunate. But if we get any more information about this, I'll definitely update you guys on here. All right, well, that brings us into rapid fire. So those of you who don't know what rapid fire is, we're going to just be talking about a couple of quick points about certain projects that have either come up or something that maybe not have a lot of information about it. So without any further ado, here's rapid fire. And the first topic of rapid fire is the first trailer for the new Denzel Washington movie, The Equalizer, has come out. Now, this trailer looks awesome. It's from the director, it's from Alfonso Cuarón. It's from Antoine Fuqua, who has directed Training Day and Olympus Has Fallen, and a bunch of other projects as well throughout the years. Tears of the Sun comes to mind. This very much has a feel of Man on Fire. For those of you who remember Man on Fire, Denzel Washington's kind of coming back into Hollywood type movie. It was just an amazing film. This very much has the same feel to it. He is it basically plays a retired hitman who comes out of retirement to retrieve a kidnapped girl because of something that he's witnessed. Now, the aspects of his character are badass. He owns every scene he's in. He's Denzel. I mean, he can't not own every scene that he's in. So it's really, really cool to see him back in this kind of swing, in this kind of role that really reinvigorated his career. The thing that I'm really taking away from the trailer is the hardcore action, like the hard-nosed action of the film. It doesn't look like it's pulling any punches. And this is confirmed to be rated R. We know it's going to be rated R. Which is really good. He gets to let loose. Antoine Fuqua always works best in rated R projects. And most of all, early test screenings. The film has actually tested several months ago. Like it was almost 6 months ago or so that it tested, and it tested through the roof. Everyone loved it. They loved it so much that Warner Brothers had already commissioned a sequel to be to be worked on. So starting to create a new script. I think they want to get Fuqua back to direct the sequel, although his schedule is a little hectic right now. But the fact that they wanted to create a sequel, their actual hopes are to make this into a franchise. And with Denzel Washington, if he's not 60, he's approaching 60. He's in his late 50s. But for him to get a franchise at this age is incredible. And the guy, like, you can tell that he's invested in this character. He loves what he is working with. You can tell because he's not bored. A lot of times when you see big profile actors in films, some of the time they can appear very bored. They can appear as though they read the script, they liked the script, and as soon as they got on board with it, they really didn't like what they were involved with, but they were contractually obligated to be a part of it. You see this happen most of the time with Bruce Willis. But it looks cool. I definitely recommend to check it out. I have a link in the description video, the description of the video, sorry, so you guys can check it out if you haven't seen it yet, but I definitely recommend to check it out because this movie's going to kill when it comes out in September. And the last bit of rapid fire we have to talk about is something I talked about last week. About a rumor came out that Alfonso Cuarón was in talks to direct the upcoming Harry Potter spinoff, The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Well, it looks as though he's actually decided not to do this. He stated that, especially working with Gravity, he has spent the last 5 years working on effects-heavy projects, and knowing that this is going to be involved in the world of Harry Potter, they are looking to create a trilogy out of this at least. So it is going to be very effects-heavy. He wants to step away from that. He wants to, quote-unquote, clean his palette, so that he doesn't have to work on something like that. He's probably going to work on something a little bit simpler, which if he ends up working on the other project that he was rumored for, he could be directing the Shining prequel called The Overlook Hotel, which they are working on right now. They are trying to do a prequel to The Shining, so just let that sink in. And he's been rumored to be connected with that as well. But, I mean, he may be looking just to take some time off. He also may be looking for something just a lot simpler. We just don't know yet. But as it stands right now, they do not have a director for this project. Alfonso Cuarón has decided to pass on this, but a director will probably be announced within the coming months. So keep up to date with more about this. I will definitely be updating you guys more on this in the future. If we get more information about it even sooner, I'll definitely put that on the show. But as it stands right now, this project is without a director, but we're still 2.5 years away from its release, so they got plenty of time to get someone attached to this film. Alright, well, that'll about do it for us here on Coming Soon Movie News with Niklsun. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have been great. Go ahead and click the subscribe button down there at the bottom. You can get updates whenever I post a video to keep up to date with all of your movie news information. As well, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Niklsun, Niklsun, for all of your movie updates and information. And if you guys ever have a question or a topic you want to have discussed on the show, go ahead to our website, movienewswithniklsun.ca, and on that website, in the contact section, you can actually put in a question, and it will send it to us, and we will then answer it on our Friday episodes where we do our user-submitted questions. So if you have anything at all that you want to have discussed, or you have a question about, or anything of that sort, put a comment in the comment section or email us at our website, and it will be answered on the Friday episode. So without further ado, this has been Niklsun. You guys have been great. Take care, and enjoy the rest of your day.